I'm here at Dimbola, which is the home and the workplace of Julia Margaret Cameron. This is where she lived back in 1860, and I'm incredibly proud to announce my exhibition that launched last night, Searching for Alice, and it's going to run until January the 1st. But anyway, let me take you on a tour of this place. This is the Holy Grail. This is Julia's home and her workplace. This is where she created her incredible Wet Plate Collodion portraits. This amazing, beautiful entrance. The always busy tea room, which has been keeping me going for 5 days. And this is the house back in 1870. And I'll take you on a journey up the staircase that Julia would have walked many times. And here she is at the top of the stairs. That's Julia Margaret Cameron, groundbreaking photographer. Wet Plate Collodion. The stories I've heard since I've been here have been incredible. And here are some of her portraits. That's the first portrait she ever said was a success, and she was just so excited. She ended up running around the house, finding gifts for the little girl, and then she framed it. She actually made a print that day and framed it as well that very same day and gave it to the girl's father. Everywhere in this place is just beautiful. Obviously what we've got out here is fresh water, beautiful fresh water. So from here she would have looked out, there's my mobile studio. From here she would have looked out onto the sea. And she used to see random people and drag them in to be photographed. But this is what we come to see when we see Julia's work. This is her portraiture. I mean, this is Ellen Terry, 1864. It's called Sadness. I think it was her niece, and she got married, and then it fell apart within a year. But just every time I see her work, this is what inspires me. 2016, I first saw her work. I'd never seen photography like it. I'd never seen photography. And you think that these are glass plates. So Julia would have had a big Victorian dress on, and it would have been covered in collodion and silver nitrate. And she used to rush through this house, excited with the plate she'd just taken, sort of dripping silver nitrate and collodion all over the dining room table. And she'd rush downstairs to show her husband what she'd just taken. And when she was working here in Dimbola, there was no running water. So she turned the coal shed into her darkroom with no running water. And she used the greenhouse, basically, as the chicken house, as her studio. But even then, her exposures were sort of 3 to 8 minutes. But just look at this. Look at her compositions. They're just stunning, stunning. You know, 1876, and she's creating this type of work. And her work was pilloried by the men as well of the day, who always like pin-sharp, sort of stilted portraits, whereas hers have got life and passion, movement and soul in them. These are real people, real people. You know, people like Herschel. And this glorious woman, I mean, just beautiful. But I look at her work with wonder. You know, how did she do this? How did she do this? If I could go back. Yeah, if you get a chance to come and see this house, you really must come, because this is the birthplace of real creative portraiture. I mean, you've got Charles Darwin, Sir Lancelot and Guinevere, all shot here out in the greenhouse. Just beautiful. I think that's her husband as well there. Look at this stuff. Yeah, it really is just spectacular. And the other thing about here is wherever you go, even the reflections are so cool as well. Look at this stuff, 1870. 1870. So I can get some shadow on this, you can see it. Look at that, 1870. Glass plate. And I guess the other thing about Julia is, she was like massively big on compositions and setups, but just look at these children's portraits. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the reason it all started for me, there you go, that was the Alice Liddell photograph that I first saw. That was the Pomona, 1872, Alice Liddell. I first saw that at the Victoria and Albert Museum, and that's what inspired me to take up Wet Plate Collodion. And yeah, just adore her work. So, this is Julia Margaret Cameron in Dimbola. I'm going to go through, show you some of my stuff now, which I have to say, I just always feels a bit compared to this. This is the real deal. This is where it happens. We're actually in the tower, by the way, now that she had made as well. If we go through here, this is the massive honour I've got of being in this space here. So, obviously, my exhibition is called Searching for Alice, because ever since I saw the portrait in the V&A, I've always been searching to try and find some of the essence of Julia Margaret Cameron's work, which I will never achieve. I will never ever achieve, you know, the level that she was at. Never ever. But we all need something to aspire to, don't we? And so this is it for me. So this is the beginning of my exhibition, Searching for Alice. I'm incredibly proud that the centre one here, that little one there, that one in the middle there, that was that one, Portrait of Britain, British Journal of Photography, 2023. And no one can believe how small that plate is. It's 3 inches square. But the thing about Wet Plate Collodion is the fact that its ASA rating is 1. So the pictures are basically continuous tone. There's hardly any grain whatsoever. There's an old grizzly man. Wet Plate Collodion. So that's an original 15-inch square plate, glass amber type. And then some of the stuff here these are digital prints. These are just so you can see some of the other stuff that's in here. And then we go through the actual plates. So these are all original plates. These are original glass amber types. Reflections in here aren't good today, so it's hard to see stuff. But the reflections are pretty cool. So there's Caterina, that's a 10-inch square amber type. And then this is the largest. This is the largest amber type I've done. This is 17-inch by 15-inch amber type. This is with Caterina. We photographed this in the studio with a lovely forest background and a massive camera. Pouring that was quite a job as well. So, veil with ethereal ivory flame, and then my dear friend Sheena, who has just got this lovely Victorian vibe about her as well. And then this is one of the very first ones I ever took with Caterina. This was our Babylon series. And all the time here, you've got this amazing views out here. Look, that's fresh water. The amount of times I've walked on those beaches this week has been amazing. And I've got the great honour that they've given me 3 rooms. So I've got some little display cases. There was that lovely one there. That was, oh, there we go. That's Cleopatra. And there it is, that's the one that won Portrait of Britain, that one. Tiny little one there. The lighting's not very good today, but I've got various bits and bobs in here. And it's nice I've been able to show some other strange stuff I'm doing, which is projection stuff as well, using Wet Plate Collodion. But there's a nice little assembly of bits and some historical bits as to how it was done. And it's quite nice that I can show some art nudes in here, which I can't show on social media. This is one of my favourite all-time pictures. This is the lovely lady that I call it a fish counter ambush. She was in Tesco's and I just saw this amazing woman. I said, could I possibly photograph you? And she did me the great honour of coming with her daughter. So just absolutely beautiful woman. And this is the wonderful Sophia. So this is actually not an original plate. This is a silver gelatine contact print from the original glass plate. So, and this is the first time I've exhibited that. In fact, it's the first time I've exhibited most of this. This is with my dear friend Sharon. We're down in Cornwall and we were photographing wet plate, and we were doing it in a fisherman's hut. We lugged all our stuff down the beach, down this fisherman's hut, all our wet plate gear, and we took 2 plates, or I took 2 plates, and that was one of them. And that is a projected silver gelatine print. And there you go, it's Katerina again. My wonderful, ethereal, beautiful friend, Katerina. And then as we move around, there's stuff everywhere, to be honest, but this is the searching corner, really. This is where I kind of felt I was starting to find an essence. This is my dear friend, Katie, and she's got this amazing sort of Victorian melancholy about her, which is quite divine. So we started to do a series of portraits together. So that's a glass amber type. And then this one was taken in my back garden 4 weeks ago. So that's an original glass amber type. And you can kind of see where my influences come from on this one. And then this was the last plate I've taken. This was taken 4 weeks ago in the studio. So that's a tiny little glass amber type as well. And then there's some other stuff I've been working with, which is just using collodion and large format at the same time. Just a bit of interest. And my dearest friend Katerina and Eva. Eva paints like Rembrandt. She's genius, absolutely genius. She's got stuff in the Louvre. And so we did a little piece where she painted that picture one afternoon in my conservatory while we were just chatting. And we made this art piece together, which I absolutely adore. So you get 2 worlds there. And that one's entitled Defender of Small Things. That's what she said about me once in a painting. That's the wonderful Katerina and Dave. That's a 3-inch glass amber type. That's the original as well. There's more stuff in here. And so it goes on. And then through here is, ta-da, searching for Alice. Through here is some slightly more contemporary stuff. So that's a digital print, Artemis Fauna from a 7x5 glass amber type. And then these are some of the Alice shots. So these were Alice, this is Alice in Wonderland, inspired by an exhibition I saw at the V&A. Katerina and I were working in the studio together late one night under red safe light. Apologies for all this dreadful lighting. There you go. So we shot that together. So that's a self-portrait together. And that's my dearest friend working. I mean, she's just a goddess. And we were working with this one. This is the Sad Clown. That's the glass amber type. And this one was with Katerina. This is where we create basically 2 worlds. And so we've got a glass amber type and a tin type together. And it's all housed in old cameras and things like that. And that one's called Hair for some reason. This is, these are interesting. These are, I'm using large format negatives and projecting onto perspex, colour perspex. But you're getting the beautiful patina and oysters that you get with Wet Plate Collodion. But it's just a little project I was working on back in 2017. That was the year after I trained. So they're all taken in my studio. Yeah. And there's a few more there. And then this one is, I heard this amazing song on Instagram. It's a poem, basically called Give Hope. And I contacted this guy and Anthony, and he came to my studio very kindly, and we took this portrait of him, and it's now mounted with all the words to that incredible poem surrounding him. And then we kind of end up with, this was The Last Angel, so that was the last shoot in a day. We've been working all day in the studio, and we took that tin type, and there's the wonderful Cleopatra. This was a very meaningful shoot, or a very deep thought shoot. This was a beautiful model that came to my house, and her mother had her grandmother had her children taken away in a mother and baby home in Ireland. So this was a very, very emotional shoot that we did. And then I've got my dear friend Claudia. And this is Nest. So this is me 11-foot up a ladder with Wet Plate Collodion plate, health and safety, hello. And just this wonderful person I met called Amy. And then the last two really are these two here. So these are taken out the back of my van. So I've finally got a mobile studio now. So I can now go and stay wherever I want, and I can shoot where I want. So I'm very excited about a couple of projects that are coming up in 2 weeks' time, where I'll be taking wet plate outdoors and shooting 8x10 outdoors. But these were taken with my tiny little wet plate camera. These are 5x4 glass amber types. And just before I finish this, so this is the Charles Hay Cameron Gallery. Just before I finish this, I must show you this. This is Julia Margaret Cameron's studio. So obviously her main studio was her glass house, but she also did some portraiture in here, and she did some work in here. And I had the huge honour yesterday to take portraits of some of the staff here at Dimbola, just using natural light through that window there. It's like, you can't imagine how much of an honour that was. And then the day before that, we were taking portraits of staff again in here. This is Julia Margaret Cameron's bedroom. So we got to come in here where actually a friend of mine is making a documentary about Julia, and parts of me with this exhibition as well. But this is Julia's bedroom. Yeah, I mean, the team here at Dimbola, Brian, Kelly, what they've done to keep this place going and restore it is just phenomenal. So if you get a chance to come along and support them anytime, yeah, and see this groundbreaking work. I mean, this is where creative portraiture really happened. This is it, and you can smell it. It's supposed to be her ghosted here as well. So I just need to put this across. There you go. And there's various bits and bobs about how the process works, the size of her plates, and how she would do contact prints and put them outdoors. This really is the Holy Grail. This is it. So thank you for listening and putting up with my random mutterings. But yeah, Searching for Alice. It's the exhibition. My exhibition is going to be up now from the 5th of November right through until January the 1st, 2025. Yeah, and to be here exhibiting my stuff in this space is just the greatest honour I could possibly ask for. So thank you everyone here at Dimbola. Thank you so much. And thank you, Julia, for inspiring me. Julia and Alice.